For almost 20 years, politicians and residents have been arguing over this piece of land. In 2009, it was the proposed site for the Water and Sewerage Authority's waste treatment plant, but objections forced the authority to look elsewhere. Other sites were bought and abandoned, but today the bulldozers have moved in and work has officially started on building the long-awaited sewerage plant, which will see an end to raw sewage being pumped out into Peel Bay. John Wannenburgh is the politician who has inherited the scheme.
Well, it's been long and it's been arduous, and there's been some good reasons why things have been delayed. So to be standing here, seeing the topsoil being pushed aside, seeing the road being put into place, seeing the overhead cables being diverted, it is a fantastic feeling that we are actually getting on with this. I wish it could have been sooner. I think the people of Peel wish it could have been sooner. But the important thing is we're here now, and the next important thing is that we get this done properly and thoroughly, and we don't rush it, but we get it done so it's fit for purpose for the long haul.
Now, government schemes have come in for a lot of flack over the recent years about not going to time and budget. What steps are you going to be taking overseeing this project to ensure that it does run to time and to budget?
I feel I have to mention to you, June, that the Moughtin regional sewage treatment system, which was opened up recently, came in on time and under budget. We have a track record at the MUA of doing exactly that, and I know the schemes you refer to, and I'm outraged about those just as you are. So with that in mind, I will be monitoring this along with the exec, along with the board members, to ensure that we get a weekly, monthly report to ensure that things happen the way they should be happening.
Tim Woakes is one of the authority's lead officials on the project.
So what we're building a wastewater treatment works to serve the population that lives in Peel and the surrounding areas. It's an IRBC sewage treatment works, so that's integrated rotating biological contactors. So essentially there'll be 7 of these units that process the wastewater that comes in. At the head of the works there's a screening plant, so that removes all of the things that shouldn't be within the wastewater that comes into a work, so it's your wet wipes and the like. Then there's a biological treatment process, which is where we rely on naturally occurring organisms to essentially eat the sewage that comes in within the water. And then on the end of the works we've got what's called tertiary treatment in the form of ultraviolet radiation, which will really sort of polish the final effluent and make it super clean before it goes out into the water in Peel.
Now, obviously, the wastewater, once treated, will go back into the watercourse. What happens to all the other waste matter that's screened out in that process?
Okay, yep, so the final effluent, as we call it, will go out the existing outfall, which discharges just off the end of the breakwater there. As you'll currently see it, if you stand out there, you'll see a group of seagulls that are generally feeding on the raw sewage that goes out. Those seagulls will disappear because what goes out in the bay is just so much cleaner. There is a byproduct of sewage treatment, and that is the sludge. So that's all of the solid matter and the dead organisms that get collected within the works. They'll be picked up by tanker once or twice a day, and that sludge goes off to Mirieveg in Santon, where it's processed before it goes off to the energy from waste plant. The screening material, so that's all the wet wipes and stuff that we talked about earlier, that will be collected in skips, and that will go off to the energy from waste plant as well.
What about concerns people have about things like smells?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's something that's brought up whenever we put in planning applications for new treatment works. All of our new works are covered, and those works that are near to houses and residential areas have got odour control units attached to them as well. So that's essentially sucking out any odorous air that's within the works, passing it through a special carbon media, which basically removes all of those chemical elements that can cause smell. So we're confident that there will be no issues with odour in the vicinity of the Peel works.
Tim Crookall, one of the town's MHKs, was in charge of the Water Authority when this site was first chosen.
2009 was my first public meeting in the Corrin Hall with David Anderson when he was Minister for Transport at the time, and I was Chairman of the Water and Sewerage Authority. But yeah, for 16 years on now, it's so good to see the grounds being cleared and stuff, and work is ready to start.
So what's taken so long politically for this scheme to come to fruition?
It's not actually been political. I think it's been more the planning of it and going through the planning stages. I mean, obviously there's some political stuff being involved halfway through, but mainly it's just been the planning side of things and getting the planning permission. But we're there now, and it really is good news that we're about to start and get this done, not only for Peel and the West, but for the island and the visitors that come to the island.
In terms of this scheme, what's it going to mean for Peel and the surrounding areas?
Well, and for the island, as I've just said, it's just going to mean sort of cleaner waters around the west here, you know, and it's not just Peel and around here, but that obviously the dirt that goes into at the moment goes up the coast as well. But it's just going to mean cleaner water for everybody to swim in, bathe in, and for the kids to play in on the beach.
The local authority in the area, Peel Commissioners, have been long-time campaigners for the town to have a dedicated treatment plant. It's a day former Chair Christine Moughtin has been looking forward to.
Christine, you've been a long-time campaigner for sewage treatment to be sorted out in this town. How do you feel today to see work commenced?
After 18 years, June, I am absolutely ecstatic. I'm over the moon. It's absolutely so beautiful to be down here today and see that it's actually happening.
And what do you think about the choice of site?
The choice of site was the original choice all them years ago. And then with people changing their minds and protests and different departments not making their mind up, they looked at other sites, and here we are, back where we started. This could have been done all them years ago.
There's been a lot of wasted money so far.
I'd hate to think how much it has cost the taxpayer over the years. But to be here today, and I know it's going to cost a lot more money, but at least the future is good, clean and bright.
So this surely means now that Peel Beach, the end is in sight for the raw sewage going out into the bay.
That is the whole end story. It would be lovely in 4 or 5 years' time to go down there and look with pride out at that bay, which is already stunning, June, to see the pure water that we really truly deserve.
Although the scheme is not due to be completed until 2028, officials say elements of the plant will be brought on stream in phases.
We've tasked the contractor to bring on various elements of the treatment works as and when available. So we're looking at having the screening facility up and running next summer, probably the back end of next summer, which will take out all of those elements that shouldn't be within the wastewater, and that will provide massive environmental benefit. We're then looking at bringing on some of the IRBC units ahead of the bathing season in 2027. So we think that will provide a level of treatment for dry weather flows during the summer that will give full treatment. So at that point we'll see massive improvements to the bathing water quality. And then the final IRBCs and the UV treatment equipment will come on back end of 27, early 2028, with the contractor having demobilised and done all the landscaping and everything in early 2028.